7. Barrett outside the switch. Doncic goes, oh, what a great step! And then he hammers it home. Broke his ankles.
How could you not like the game of basketball after this game? This game was off the charts. It was so much fun to watch. The Grizzlies actually came out victorious, so now they're the 8th seed, and the Golden State Warriors aren't going to be in the playoffs for the second year in a row. That sounds crazy. Having Kevin Durant, having Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond, like those days, of course, they don't have Kevin Durant anymore, that big-time departure. But, of course, you kind of expected it in some ways. No Klay Thompson, the departure of Kevin Durant, even though they didn't have KD last season. But you know what I mean. But this game was just so much fun to watch. Curry did bring it a little bit at the beginning of the first quarter, kind of cooled off, but then he lit it up. Like, it was so much fun to watch him in the second half. But I would say there was such a great mixture of defense and offense in this game. Because Dillon Brooks, Draymond Green, if you love defense, those were the players to watch. Dillon Brooks is going to be a very good defensive player for years to come. On the ball, off the ball, gets up in your jersey, trash talks like crazy. I love Dillon Brooks. I love what he brings to the game of basketball. He can shoot it from the outside. He's smooth. He can work down the lane. He has that turnaround shot in his arsenal. Shooter's touch. He's a good basketball player. He may not be an all-star, but I think he's going to be a guy like Mikal Bridges, who's a glue guy for years to come. And I really do think this Grizzlies defense can be really legit for a very long time. I think they've done an amazing job, this overall coaching staff, getting the most out of their players. They literally maximize every player's potential. If it's Tyus Jones out there, of course, he's starting to get older when it comes to his NBA career. But it just shows the depth there, of course, with Jaren Jackson Jr., big man. You have a guy like Jonas Valanciunas. I know they do start together, but I love Xavier Tillman. I love what he brings to the table. Of course, they have Brandon Clark. Brandon Clark didn't even play in this basketball game, but just the big man department, getting the most out of their basketball players. Of course, Curry amazing in the second half. But yeah, Draymond Green, just like true NBA fans see what Draymond Green brings to the table. With those heads-up plays, passing the basketball, out of the pick and roll, getting the defense to collapse, and just really kicking it out or finding people down low. But Dillon Brooks, Draymond Green, off the charts. Stephen Curry and John Morant, Curry fun to watch. Kind of went to kind of like a drought in that first half. But at one point, I believe he made like five of his 6 shots, like winding down in that fourth quarter. But I just thought the Grizzlies played outstanding defense. Jonas Valanciunas actually got into foul trouble in this game, but he's a veteran. You know what great veterans do? They play smart, disciplined defense so they don't foul out in this game. But we have to talk about John Morant. John Morant, someone who's been struggling shooting the basketball, being a 30% three-point shooter this season. He shot it amazing from downtown. He made the defense pay. He made the Golden State Warriors pay. And when he's knocking down the shots from the outside, that opens up his entire game of penetrating, getting to the hoop. And he was smooth, he was smart, he was disciplined, he was beautiful out there on the basketball court for the Memphis Grizzlies. But I thought it was a great season for the Golden State Warriors. When you think about no Klay Thompson, of course, I still think this team's going to be good when it comes to next season. Draymond Green, as much as I love him, can you count on him like every single night? I feel like he's going to look even better next season. I know he's a guy that does the little things, but having Klay Thompson back next season, it's going to hide Draymond Green like some of his deficiencies of scoring the ball. I love Desano Anderson, but he's still young. Jordan Poole I love, but he's still young. Andrew Wiggins, you still can't count on him to step up huge every single night, especially because he had a big game up against the Los Angeles Lakers. And of course, Kevin Looney, a guy that does the little things, but you can't count on him big time when it comes to contributing on the offense side of the basketball. But the Grizzlies coaching is just top notch, as the Memphis Grizzlies are actually going to be that 8th seed, and we'll see what goes on to happen with them playing the Utah Jazz. I do think the Utah Jazz might win in 5 or win in 6, but I actually do think the Grizzlies are really going to battle. Be it John Morant, just fantastic performance. The Grizzlies also did this like without Jaren Jackson Jr. playing well. We know he didn't produce much offensively, but we know how productive he is like on the defense side of the basketball. That was the big thing coming out of Michigan State. Like he didn't average a lot of points, but it was really on the defense side of things, like really getting the defense scared, because he is this very versatile big man that could put the ball on the floor and really keep the defense guessing. But I thought the Grizzlies were outstanding. This game went to overtime. Of course, they didn't play a perfect game, but when you just think about their future, I like Desmond Bane as well. coming out of TCU, one of the most underrated rookies. One of the most underrated rookies. He could bully you taking it to the basket, could shoot it from the outside, even though he's kind of an unorthodox shot. He could play defense, grit and grind style, grit and freaking grind. You also have Dylan Brooks, you have Jaren Jackson Jr., you have John Morant, you have Desmond Bane, you have Brandon Clark, you have Xavier Tillman. I think they have one of the most underrated young cores when it comes to the NBA. It definitely does not help out Stephen Curry, though, when Draymond Green has more points than Kent Bazemore. Kent Bazemore was not the greatest scorer of the basketball in this game, like, whatsoever. So, yes, you needed a guy of Kent Bazemore to step up huge for you guys if you're a Golden State Warriors fan out there, but that was not the case. We'll see what goes on to happen with them in the future. Another reason why I thought the Grizzlies won this game was that they were very even keel. Like, when Jonas Valanciunas did get in foul trouble early, there was always a teammate there, like, picking him up. And another thing, I just thought the Grizzlies were the more disciplined team down the stretch when it comes to ball movement, really making the smart decision with the basketball. I don't know if it was just me, but it looked like the Warriors, they were just really careless with the basketball in the fourth quarter. But I think that's a key reason the Grizzlies also won this game. More disciplined, played as a team, more than one player did step up. Very even keel performance by the Memphis Grizzlies. At one point, though, I really thought the Warriors were gonna like win this game when you just took a look at the overall momentum, like in that fourth quarter. Like, at one point, I was like, no way they're gonna win this. Like, they were scoring, they were getting buckets, but they couldn't get stops to save their lives. That's the thing. Inconsistent defense. It's gone better throughout the season, but it is extremely inconsistent. So it all came down to the more balanced team and who was going to score timely buckets, and that was John Morant for the Memphis Grizzlies. But I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much for the great amount of support. John Morant really proved me wrong if he's a clutch player down the stretch. 35 points, dishing out the basketball, hitting big-time shots down the stretch. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, guys, have a humble day or night. Peace out, y'all.